Good to see you, Doc.
Good to see you.
I'd just like to get your thoughts about, where did this idea of evidence to action come from?
We are in a continent where decisions are being made every day, both by our politicians, development partners, different stakeholders that are not based on any evidence on what works and what doesn't work. We initiated the Evidence to Action Conference, one, to create awareness that decisions have to be made based on rigorous research and evaluation. This continent have done a lot of research, a lot of evaluations have been done. But when it comes to policy making, or it comes to development practices, we ignore what have been documented as the best evidence. I have been in the development work, both working for U.S. government and African institutions for the past 30 years. And if I see how we make decisions and how we plan programs, the first question I ask myself is, what is the assurance that this one works or it doesn't work? And because of that, we decided to create the Evidence to Action Conference so that we can create the awareness and we can make available evidence for policy making.
Wow, great. I think this year's conference theme was responsibility and accountability, strengthening evidence generation and use in support of policy reform and development agenda. What informed, this kind of theme?
Yes, we chose accountability and responsibility because it's an element, critical factors for leadership. When it comes to generation of evidence and utilization of evidence, both the supply side and demand side have to have leadership role. Leadership role by being responsible for what is going to be generated. It's very irresponsible for a researcher to sit in his office and decide what he is going to research on without consulting the people who are going to use what he is going to research on. And it is very irresponsible for a policymaker to sit down to make a decision without taking the responsibility to make sure that there is an evidence. The same thing when it comes to accountability. Who is accountable for the evidence that is being generated? Who is making sure that there's integrity and credibility? Is the responsibility of the researcher and the accountability of the utilizer to make sure that the evidence being generated are credible. So that is why if you read the whole theme, it says strengthening the generation and the utilization for evidence for decision making and action in Africa.
Great. So very great insights have been shared during this conference from different experts. So how does ICE intend to translate these insights into tangible, actionable benefits to the African people?
Yes. In my closing remarks, I talk about the 4 A's. One, we are creating awareness about the need for evidence. 2, we are creating through evidence hub and portal, a database for different evidence, systematic review, impact evaluation, evaluation reports, so that if people want to see evidence that have been generated, they don't have to go out, they can get it. 2, we want it to be accessible so that at every stage, from policymakers to citizens, they can have access. And we want to make it affordable so that people can be able to afford evidence, whether it's in politics or in development, to be used to improve the well-being of Africans.
Okay, my final question to you would be, maybe from your expert viewpoint, where do you think the governments in Africa should put focus to achieve SDGs and even now the Agenda 2063, that is the focus for the AU?
Government in Africa should be able to identify the SDG goals and ask ourselves, which areas do we have evidence to report on and which areas are there gaps? The same thing in Agenda 2016. We should be able to sit down, look at the menu of evidence that have been generated, and then see areas where there are gaps so that they can put resources and build capacity for researchers and development practitioners to fill those gaps.
All right, thank you so very much. Again,